Fundamentals, Google Collaboration and Hangouts. My name is Kathy Long. I'm the Senior Training Specialist for the Center for Instructional Technology. Joining me behind the scenes today to help facilitate the question box and to help me demonstrate our new Google tools is Lisa Stickdorn and also Robbie Morris. So thank you to both of those folks for joining us today. So again, feel free to ask questions in the question box at any time. So let's go ahead and jump right into our IvyLearn platform. So by default, we know that IvyLearn opens up to the dashboard page, and I'm going to select one of my courses, and I'm going to select the demo database server installation course to participate in today. So let's go ahead and enter into our course. There are several ways that we can collaborate with students and we can communicate with them in the IvyLearn platform. One of those ways is through Google Collaboration, which if anyone is a Google user, that is really the Google Drive, My Drive. It allows for collaboration on written documents. If you've worked in any type of probably statewide committee, you might have collaborated on one single document. If you've participated in an IvyLearn presentation in the past, you might remember that we've demonstrated that collaboration tool and how we can work on one document together. So it's really great for students to be able to do some group work. When we use Google Collaboration, we're working on one document together, okay? And we can do that here in the IvyLearn platform. So if you're working on a group presentation together or you're working on a research topic, collaborating in any other way with a student, instead of passing those documents back and forth through email, what's the latest version, is this correct, is this correct, this is a great way to find one location using Google Documents. So to get to our collaboration tool, you'll notice on the left-hand side of the page, we're actually inside of a course. It's kind of grayed out at this point, but it's called Collaborations. So when we click on Collaborations, you can start a new collaboration. So remember, anytime in IvyLearn that we're adding new content, we click this plus button, and then for add whatever. So in this case, we're add or start a new collaboration, okay? And then you'll also notice here that I've already started a collaboration document in an early demonstration, okay? So I can edit this with the little pencil icon. I can delete it, or I can enter into that collaboration document here. When I click on Collaboration Demo, I've used this in a previous video tutorial, and this is where Kara Monroe and I have created our own document, and we've been communicating back and forth with each other in this particular document. So as an instructor, I'm going to give my students maybe a particular topic to discuss or a presentation idea. If you have ever participated in our online certification course, I might use this particular activity instead of a wiki. I might allow all of my faculty to come together and discuss all of the communication tools that we use in the IvyLearn or previously in our Blackboard learning environment. Okay? So this would be a way for everyone to be able to add information and use great collaboration on one particular document. I can access this through the IvyLearn platform. Also, if I go to my Google account, it shows up in my Drive or items shared with me. How many of you, and you can just answer me in the question box, have used Google Documents before? Okay. So kind of a 50-50 split. Some of you have and some of you have not. We use Google Documents all the time in the Center for Instructional Technology. It's something that allows our team to come together and use. It automatically saves the document for you. So if you're new to Google Docs, that's kind of a great tool. You don't have to worry about save and save as all the time. It actually will save the document for you. And this is what it looks like. This is what the Google Doc looks like. It has all those same content editor tools that you would have if you're familiar with Microsoft Word. So across the top of the page, we of course have our file where we can save the item. We can edit it if we need to. We can change the view, we can insert information, we can format it. And again, here's our quick tools across the top of the page where we can hyperlink information into it, change the font, those types of things. So very straightforward and easy to use. The same tools that you can expect to use in a Microsoft document can be used here in Google Documents. The big selling point here is that you can collaborate and work together on one particular document. Okay, so let's go back into our IvyLearn platform again, and let me show you how we would actually create this collaboration and not just access it here. Okay, so I can start a new collaboration. I can click the plus button. Okay, I'm going to collaborate using Google Docs. Okay, there's also Google Apps that you can choose from, but we're going to use Google Docs. I'm going to give that document a name. I can give a description. So if I'm going to set up a Google Doc for all of my students or break them into smaller groups, I might want to give a description or instructions on what that assignment is going to be. And then down here, I can collaborate with, and here are all the people that are currently enrolled in this course. Okay, so I would be able to select anyone from my list. So I'm going to select my friend Dennis Dell, and I can swing through here a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to select Ryan Falquist. There's Lisa Hamner. I think she's on the call with us today, my buddy Stephanie. And I can click as many of these students in my course as I'd like. Just by scrolling through and clicking their name. And you'll notice when I do click their name that it appears over here on the right-hand side of the page. If I've clicked someone's name by mistake, I can simply click their name and remove them. Okay, so now I have my group of who I want to collaborate on this particular document, and I click Start Collaborating. I now have a brand new document. Okay, and then as my other friends come along, they can also contribute to this particular document. Okay, there was a great question in our question box. Since students will need a Google account, they will need to create a password and username. And no, they don't, because now Google is now part of the IV Tech statewide system of communication. So students will actually use their IV Tech username and their IV Tech password to access Google Documents, and I'll show you how you do that in just a moment. So the students are either going to log into IvyLearn and access their Google document here and work on their particular assignment. Okay, but they also can access Google Drive and then also Google Hangouts, which is our new instant messaging provider, through the myivy.ivtech.edu, which was formerly known as Campus Connect. Okay, so there's no need to create a different username and password. I'm a Google user, so I actually use multiple Google accounts, and I can switch. If you are a Google user, you can switch from one account to the other simply by signing out and signing into your other account. Perhaps you have something that you use in a personal manner, so you can change just like you would normally do if you're a Google user. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here into my IvyLearn platform. Okay, so now you'll see that I actually have my current collaborations built right into my collaboration tool. And if right now this is grayed out, so if I want to make sure that my students can see my collaboration area, what we need to do is we need to go down here into our settings. Okay, because right now in our student view, collaborations is not viewable. So when I click on settings, I can actually select the navigation, which is how I can control what students see on my course menu. And I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit until I find my collaboration tool. And I can either drag and drop this up onto my menu, or I can simply click this little button here right beside my settings icon and enable. And when I click enable, it automatically moves my collaboration tool up here into the menu. And if I want this to be up here, maybe under grades instead of lower on the menu, I can adjust that. And of course, we want to make sure that we save that recommendation. So I go down here to the very bottom of the page and I click Save. So let me show you what that looks like in our student view. When I click Student View, you now see that Collaborations is a tool menu item for our students. When they click on Collaboration, it's not going to allow me to look at it in Student View, and that's the reason why is because I am logged in Student View as a generic student user. And you remember when we do set up our Google Documents, it's very specific to a user. Okay, so we're setting up those user groups for collaboration. So don't be alarmed when you see this unauthorized, you cannot enter. Okay, so it is available on the menu, but we haven't actually I'm not a particular student. I'm a generic student user when I'm in Student View, so I don't get to see that document. So no need to be alarmed. It only makes sense because this is a generic user and Google Collaborations directly aligns with a specific user. Make sense? Everybody's still with me? Let me know in the question box. Great. All right, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to leave my student view. Now, as an instructor, I might want to set up my collaboration or my group tool or group work in my module, because you remember, modules is our class session. This is where our teaching really takes place. Okay? I want to make sure that when I'm using those modules, students know what their assignments are. We're going to set specific due dates. I'm going to set up a sequential learning event for them. So I'm going to go into my modules. Okay, and you'll see here in Module 1, in my index view, I actually added a little bit earlier my collaboration demo document. Okay, so when I actually click on that, it opens up my Google document or my collaboration. Okay, so I can actually add that collaboration tool, that collaboration document directly into my course module. So let me show you how to do that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create my collaboration document. Okay, so the first thing as an instructor I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into the collaboration tool, my course menu, and I'm going to start a new collaboration. So maybe I'm going to say research group 1. Okay. Your group will work together to determine if the cost of candy from Hershey, Pennsylvania is more expensive than chocolate if I could type from Switzerland. A dumb question, I know. No judgment, please. Okay. All right, then I'm going to select the people in my group to answer this particular topic, whatever that research topic is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to select, we'll put Rika and Anna in this particular course, in this particular topic. Julie's in here with me, so I'm going to go ahead and put Julia in this group as well, and I can create my group names here. Okay, and then I click Start Collaborating. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I've created my group area. So now I'm going to go back into my IvyLearn platform. I'm going to go into my module. Okay. And we remember, any time that we add a link or any kind of content to our module, we're going to go to our module level. So here's the module name. And over to the right-hand side, you're going to see a plus sign. So I click my plus sign. Okay. And I'm going to add an external tool. Okay, because this is a Google LTI tool. I'm going to scroll down here to find my Google document. So here's Google Drive. Remember, so anytime we create a collaboration, it's now going to create a Google Drive. It goes into Google Drive, and that's the holding place. It's almost like the file folder for all of our Google documents. So it's going to put me in Google Drive, and then I'm going to find the document that I just created. And I have all kinds of crazy documents in here. So I know that one of my documents was IvyLearn Google Demonstration. So I'm going to click that and click Submit. Okay, and then I'm going to click Add Item. Okay, so you notice that the URL populates with the document link, and then click Add Item. When I look at my index view here, you notice that my Google document has now been added. Now, remember, anytime we add content to our IvyLearn platform, we want to make sure that it's published. So I look over here to the right-hand side, and you notice that both my collaboration demo, which is a Google document, and my IvyLearn Google demonstration, they both are currently not published. So let's make those available so students can see them. And I just do that by clicking the little cloud, and you notice it turns green and it has a little check mark in it. So now when I click on the IvyLearn Google demonstration document, for example, and you'll see that Jennifer, who I invited to participate with me in a Google document, has been working in our document together and has already started our collaboration. So thank you, Jennifer, for jumping in there and helping with my demonstration today. Okay. So you can see that Jennifer, as she's on the screen, you'll see her little pink Jennifer Stouffer as she's adding content. I'm the blue currently, or Lisa Hamner is the blue. So there's several people who are working in the Google document. At the top of the page, you'll notice here that there's a Jennifer Stouffer and there's a little L for Lisa Hamner. So you can currently see how many people are working on the document at one time. And you can actually have multiple people in one document at the same time working. So if one person might be writing a particular section, another person can be working on the other part of the section, or just proofreading the document. So it's really powerful and very useful. We use this for a lot of committee work and a lot of our course development projects as well. So very powerful, and hopefully you can find a lot of great learning applications in your classroom with this particular new tool. So this is Google Collaborations. Oh, so Anna had a great question. She noticed that when I was in my menu, it had Google Drive listed twice in the section menu. I do believe, Anna, that's because when I was doing a demonstration, I added my Google LTI tool twice to my course menu. So that's just an error on my part when I was doing a demonstration. So that's just extra junk. I could actually delete that from my menu if I needed to. So good question and a good catch. Very good attention to detail. All right, so that is collaborations. Any last minute questions before we log in to My Ivy, formerly known as Campus Connect, and we talk about collaborations and also Google Hangouts? Okay. I'm going to go into myivy.ivytech.edu. myivy.ivytech.edu is the new training portal, the information training portal that Ivy Tech uses statewide. When you log in to myivy.ivytech.edu, formerly known as Campus Connect, it's going to recognize your role in the college. So if you're a staff member, if you're a faculty member, or a student member, your home page may vary by your role. And you also, the green toolbar located over here on the left-hand side might look different for you depending on your role in the college. So because I do so many demonstrations, I have an employee tool because I'm obviously an employee of Ivy Tech. I'm a faculty member, and I'm also have the student view basically for demonstration purposes. Okay, so over here on the green menu toolbar, these are your kind of your global navigation tools that opens up to additional information. The center of the page are some of the most frequently used tools, such as updating your address or phone book, direct access to Blackboard, and here pretty soon you'll see a direct link to the IvyLearn platform as well as some tech support, the college calendar, etc. So you'll notice now we have both Google Drive and Google Hangouts on our menu. We've looked at Google Drive, right? So before, when we were in the IvyLearn platform, we were creating Google documents, and all of those are hosted in Google Drive. So as a student, and even as a faculty member, I'm going to click on Google Drive, and IvyLearn recognizes that I'm using my Ivy Tech email address and credentials, and I'm also here. It's going to recognize my Ivy Tech account and credentials. So you'll notice here that my collaboration demo that we were working on is listed under my drive. Okay. If you click on the Shared With Me document, you'll also, that might be a better way to find out where your collaboration documents are as well. Like I said, I've been using this for a very long time, so you'll see a lot of different stuff in mine. But you know, we talked about the collaboration demo. That was one of the documents in my IvyLearn platform. When I click on it here, it should open up. Oh, and I've already got it open up, so let's hang on just a second. There we go. I had to close it out. So here's my document as well. So students can access the document through my Ivy and work on the document there. It's going to, any changes I make here in my Ivy platform is going to transfer over into the IvyLearn platform as well. So Google Drive, my collaboration documents can be accessed. If I go to google.com and enter in my credentials, I can access it through my Ivy, and I can also access that through the IvyLearn platform. Okay, so lots of different ways to get there, but it's all the same document, and that's shared across all of those platforms. Okay. All right, so I'm going back into the My Ivy platform. Okay, so we've accessed Google Drive there, and here we go into Google Hangouts. So Google Hangouts is our brand new instant messaging tool. So instead of having BBIM, Blackboard Instant Messaging, we are now going to be using Google Hangouts. I know several of you have been power users in the Google Hangouts platform, so feel free to offer us some tips and tricks. I'm fairly new to this platform, but I find it very easy to use. And when you click on it for the first time, there is a little tutorial that pops up to kind of walk you through the Google Hangouts process. Okay, so Marion has the question, do we need to tell students how to access Google Docs from my Ivy, or will there be information for them that they can be directed to? Marion, my recommendation is, because it's a classroom assignment, I'm going to still probably direct my students to access the Google documents and their assignments through the My Ivy or the IvyLearn platform. There will be, I believe, marketing is taking care of some of the communication to our students regarding this particular tool, and it'll also be mentioned in our student training events as well. But I'm still going to direct my students most likely to use that IvyLearn platform for all of their learning activities. Let's see. Oh, Allie has a great question, and for staff purposes, can a Google Doc or Google Sheet have student information listed in a document, C numbers, email addresses, and names? I'm going to postpone that particular answer to that question, Allie. I think that's a question that we probably need to ask our administration or someone who's in charge of that area. I would say that the rules still apply. That Microsoft Word document is the same thing as a Google Sheet. So anything that we can do to protect our student information, to make things as secure as possible, I would just still maintain those FERPA training and FERPA regulations. So I would protect that information as much as possible and probably would not share that information if not necessary. Anna has the question, is this fully replacing BBIM? And yes, it is. BBIM goes away just like Blackboard does. So this is kind of our new instant messaging tool. Okay. All right. So welcome. You should be looking at my Google Hangouts. You will notice a series of icons across the top of the page and also on the side. It's very simple to use. We can actually use a video call, so I can use webcam conversation, I can do an actual phone call, or I can also do instant messaging, which is just texting back and forth. These are synchronous tools. You have to be online at the same time for this to work, okay, just like Blackboard instant messaging. And BBIM, if someone types me a message and I'm not online, I'm never going to see that. That's the same thing with Google Hangouts. When am I going to use Google Hangouts? I might use this if I want to do a small study session with my students, or if I want to do online office hours. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this platform. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, this is a menu. Okay. So when I click the three little lines here, it gives me a lot of different information. So my contacts, conversations, phone calls, people who have invited me, my app downloads, settings, and feedback. Okay, so just an additional set of resources. When you log into Google Hangouts for the first time, it's going to ask you, I believe, or it did on my phone when I was trying to sync my accounts, if they can access my contacts. The nice thing about Google Hangouts is it will coordinate all of your across platforms into one global management system. So you have that option. You can use Google Hangouts on your phone, both on an Android device that's on there by default, or also in the Apple products as well. But that is an application that you have to download. I click here, this little people icon is to create a new conversation. Okay. These are my contacts. Then the little thought bubble is how I would create a new conversation. I can reach out by phone call, and this ... opens up that global menu again. Okay, so that ... icon opens up the same menu information as the three lines at the top of the page. Okay. So let me just go ahead, and I'm going to create a new conversation. So I'm going to click New Conversation, and I'm going to enter in the person I want to speak to. Lisa Stickdorn is already here on my list, so I'm going to go ahead and reach out to Lisa. And you'll notice over here on the right-hand side of the page that my chat box opens up. So I'm going to send Lisa a message. Just like I would in any instant messaging account. And I'll just wait for her response. I can also open up another conversation, so I'm going to go ahead and click another new conversation box. And I'm going to send a message to my friend Becky. Okay, and I'm going to reach out to my buddy Robbie. So I can have multiple chat boxes open at one time. Okay, so I now have multiple conversations going on. And you'll see that Becky has responded back to me. I'm still waiting for Lisa, and I haven't heard anything from Robbie either. But you'll also see over here on the left-hand side that I have 3 conversations going. You'll see that Robbie just responded back to me. Okay, and we see that Becky has responded back to me. Okay, I can also have a conversation with multiple people within the same chat message. So I'm going to say, I'm going to close out my conversation with Becky. And I'm going to see up here, I can actually use a video call with Robbie, or I can actually add another person to our conversation. So I'm going to invite Becky to join us as well. So now I have a conversation with both of those folks. You'll see that Robbie pops up here and Becky both are popping up to communicate with me. Okay, so they both have said hello. I can also initiate a web conferencing tool. So let me go ahead and close out these other 2 conversations to give you a little bit cleaner screen to look at. And so when I'm in this individual conversation mode or within a small group mode, I can click my webcam. So that's an option here. And I'm calling Becky and Robert using my webcam. Now, this only works if you do have a headset. So you need a headset and microphone for this to be able to, so they can hear your audio. But you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, I now have Becky, and she just said hello. And then we have Robbie here, and then we also have myself. So I can actually, this is a customizable view. I can determine what I want to see in my large window. Okay, so now I see my buddy Robbie here, who's got his headset on, and we could actually communicate, and we could go back and forth through webcam. We notice Becky here, she does not have a webcam turned on, but she could still communicate with me. Okay, when you're in a phone call mode, you'll see that there's a series of tools that come across the top of the page. So I can add more people to my conversation. This is how I can mute my microphone. I can turn the camera on or off, so I can turn my camera on. Okay, and you'll see that my little camera popped up down here at the bottom of the page. I can, there's a little icon that says adjust bandwidth usage. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to go with my default settings. Google is very intuitive. It's going to kind of assess your computer and what settings that you need. So by default, it should be okay with you. Okay, right now it's prompting me, you notice, to unmute my microphone because my team cannot hear me on this Google call. But because we're actually doing a presentation as well, I'm not going to unmute my microphone. So it's pretty user-friendly. It kind of prompts you to do what you need to do. I can go over here to my settings, and I can actually change some of the settings, my audio, video, and webcam. By default, Google just kind of picks that stuff up, so I haven't had to mess with my settings, and I would just try, at least for the first time, just to let Google set that up for you, and you shouldn't have to mess with your settings. It's pretty intuitive. Okay, over here on the left-hand side of the page, there's where I can open up the chat box, and I can also do some screen sharing. So I'm going to screen share. And I have 2 monitors, so I can do screen 1 or screen 2. And I'm going to select screen 2. Okay, and you'll notice that my little box here at the bottom changed. Okay, so this is what's actually on my screen too. And there's the question box. This is actually some of my GoToWebinar control panel. So that's me sharing. Okay, to stop sharing, you'll see this little prompt at the bottom of the page. I just click Stop Sharing. Okay. Now, the bad part about this, when I click on someone's name, and if Robbie would start talking, the main window screen, it follows the voice. Okay, so viewers at home, yeah, so when Robbie starts talking, the screen changes, and it'll follow the voice of the person talking. Okay, so there's Robbie again. And again, as the individual can actually also control what they're looking at on their wider screen. Now, each one of the people in the video conversation, there's a little icon here. And I can actually mute Becky, I can ignore Becky, I can look at her profile, and I can allow her to present to everyone. Now, the unfortunate part of this is that those tools are available to everyone, okay? Every person who's participating in the Google Hangout has those same features and tools. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this for just a moment. I'm going to end our conversation because we started out in the chat box and we ended up in a video call. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out both of these chat boxes. So we started out in the individual conversation. So I'm going to close these out. So if you remember, I started over here. I clicked on the conversation. I clicked New Conversation, and I invited the folks that I wanted to talk to. And here's kind of a list of all of my different conversations that I've had going on today. All right. Over here in the top right-hand corner, this is typical Google icons. So this is how I can access different tools in Google. I can see my notifications, and then this is also my account information over here. Okay. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat for just a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that I want to do a video call, and I can start that here with my little icons as well. So I'm going to select video call. Okay, gives me the time, and I'm going to enter a Hangout name. I don't have anything specifically scheduled, but I'm going to enter into the Hangout. I apologize, I'm getting a terrible cold. All right, so you'll notice that my webcam is automatically clicked in. This is me. I still have those same tools. I can see the chat box over here. I can share my screen. And I have a series of icons across the top of the page. Same icons we saw when we were doing the individual conversation. Okay, so now I'm going to invite some people. Excuse me just a second. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to add the name or email. So I'm going to invite my friend Lisa Stickdorn. I'm going to add Robbie. I'm going to invite Becky again. I'm going to invite them to attend my call. Again, I apologize for my coughing fit there. Okay, so we see now that Becky is currently the largest part of my screen, and she does not have her webcam turned on. Robbie does, and there's Robbie, and here I am as well. Okay. Now, when I click on their names, and here's Lisa's joined me, and she's currently muted. When I click on this little link here, I can actually eject someone from my presentation. The dangerous part of this is that anyone in this current conversation can eject someone. So even though I'm the one who initiated the call, and we practiced this just a few minutes ago, Lisa was able to eject me from the actual meeting. Not a great opportunity if a student can eject you from your session, but that's how Google Hangouts work. We all come in with an equal amount of power and the same tools. So if I do get ejected from the conversation, I actually get blocked. Okay, so when that happens, I'm going to go ahead and allow this demonstration just so you can see what happens. So if Lisa will go ahead and eject me from the meeting, okay, I get this nice message that says one of the participants removed you. You can't rejoin a video call if someone blocked you. Okay, so now I've been kicked out of my very own meeting. Not very nice, but it could happen, all right? So I can either start a new video call, but I cannot join the call until I'm invited back in. Okay, so start a new video call. All right, I can't get in. So hopefully, and then when I click on it, remember it was called IvyLearn Demo. When I try to log in again, it's not going to let me unless I've been invited to do so. Okay, and someone invited me back in. So now I'm back in. Okay, so it has that little bit of a dangerous, I guess, unexpected twist. Someone probably has to be looking for it, and hopefully no one's going to actually block you out of it. So how am I going to use IvyLearn Hangouts? I'm probably going to use it for very small office hours. I'm still going to use GoToMeeting if I want to meet with my larger group, for example. Google Hangouts, you can only have up to 10 people online with you at one time. So you can do screen sharing. You can use Webcam exactly like GoToMeeting, but GoToMeeting allows you to have up to 25 people online with you at the same time, whereas Google Hangouts has up to 10. Google Meeting, if you're the initiator of that meeting, you also have a little bit more control than we do here, okay? Any one of them, so if Becky or Lisa or Robbie decided that they wanted to create some screen sharing, they could go ahead and do that, and the little screen share would appear in my little box where their names are. And then I could also then move them up here into the bigger menu. I can also open up the chat box here. So when I create or open up my little bubble thought, here's my chat. So I can send a chat message. And you see Lisa's already said hello to me in the chat box as well. They also have little stickers and little fun little icons that you can select. And you just hit enter. And you'll see the little icon just appeared here. All right. So this is Google Hangouts. I'm going to go ahead and go back into our IvyLearn platform and just for a few minutes. What questions do you have about Google Hangouts or Google Collaboration? Okay, so it looks like Jan has a question. Let's see, Jan, if we can help you out with this. I have an assignment where pairs of students meet and do discussion questions. I need a record of their conversation for a grade. Can meetings be recorded and a transcript be created for conversations? No, there is not a transcript that I'm aware of that's created in Google Hangouts. And to my knowledge, I haven't been able to find a record button either. I would, in that particular scenario, I'll show you some other communication tools that you might be able to use for what you're talking about, Jan. Lynn has the question, if you post a meeting time for office hours, can a student request to be invited? No. So what you're thinking, Lynn, if I understand your question correctly, we had the actual office hours tool in BBIM. And that's when a student would actually, you would open up specific office hours. The student would sit in the queue and then be invited to a specific time. It doesn't quite work that same way. You could invite, you could set it up by time, your Google Hangouts by specific times, and then you would just invite that student in at that particular time, or you would start another Google Hangout or synchronous session at that time. There's not a whiteboard. Rika wanted to know if there's a whiteboard in Google Hangouts, but there is screen sharing. So anything on the screen that I wanted to show, I could do that. Hangouts is really a face-to-face, kind of a synchronous communication tool versus something that was specifically designed for education. So if you think about FaceTime and the Apple products, Hangouts is kind of the Android version of that. So it allows for instantaneous communication. You could do it from your phone, your mobile app, or from your computer. It's going to be an instant messaging tool that students can connect with one another or with their peers, and then also with your instructor. You have to think about what your application is. Just like in Blackboard, there were many, many different ways to achieve the same goal. That's the same way in the IvyLearn platform. So you need to kind of assess what is it that you want to learn or do or accomplish with the assignment or with your communication method, and what's the best tool to help with that. Okay, so Robert has a question. If two separate students post entries into Collaborate, will the entries conflict or split up paragraphs? It's one document. It doesn't necessarily give you this is John's work and this is Susie's work. It's one giant document that multiple people are working on. You can, I believe, let me see if I can find it. There is a history to it that you can look at to see what the version was in the Google Documents. You really want to think about the Google Documents and the collaboration of that as a group work. So if I want them to work together to create one presentation document, this allows students to communicate in one location. Similar to a wiki tool, but they're actually creating one individual product. It doesn't necessarily break that down by individual student. It doesn't count how many words that particular student added to the document, for example. Okay, so Lynn, when you have, when we're in the Google Collaborate or Hangout tool, okay, anytime that you're invited, it's an invitation. So I would start a new conversation and I would tell them who I want to communicate with. If I was going to start a new video call, I would invite someone to specifically chat with me. So if, for example, you'll see here I have 2 invites from Lisa Stickdorn. That's how I know that Lisa wants to speak to me. So that would be the same thing for my students. If a student invited me or wants to speak to me, they could also start a new conversation or start a new video call and invite me to participate. So I always know who I'm communicating with, and these are people who are located in your contact list, and you know that all of these people are associated with IV Tech. There's no outside communication with other people outside of the IV Tech community that will be in this particular version of Google Hangouts or collaboration. okay? Because remember, we're logged in through my Ivy through the our IV Tech email account and credentials, and we're logged into IvyLearn as well through our IV Tech credentials. So we'll always know who we're talking to because we've either invited them or they've invited us. That's a great question, Lynn. Okay. So Anna has the question, how do we know when someone is available to meet through Hangouts? We don't necessarily know if they're online or if they're available until we invite them or we've set up a specific time. Okay, so remember when we go into the IvyLearn platform, for example, and we go into our announcement tool. And Jan, this is going to maybe help you as well. We have a couple tools in IvyLearn that really can help us communicate with students and be interactive with students. So we can actually do a discussion board, Jan, where that's actually all that communication is written and transcribed for us. We can also, in the discussion boards now, Jan, we can use video. So students can communicate back and forth through video messages, and that's all saved within the IvyLearn platform. When we do our announcements, for example, that's also now a very interactive tool. So when I create an announcement, for example, I created this the other day, so I'm going to just go ahead and use this. Announcements now become very interactive. Whoops, that's I've added a video to that, sorry. Let me go back into announcements. Okay, so in this particular announcement, I have given my students a message. I will be available online for a study session. What day works for you? I've also created a little video demonstration for them or message as well. The students can now reply to me. So if I'm going to use Google Hangouts as my office hours, I can say, hi, I'm going to be available through Google Hangouts for a study session. What day works best for you? Students can now reply to me. I am available on Tuesday from 10 to 12. Or you can actually set up times and dates as well, and they can sign up for those so you know or they know that you're going to be available at a specific date and time. Okay? We can also use, when we're setting up times to meet with our students, we can also use that calendaring tool. So you remember if we go to Calendar, which is here on our global navigation toolbar, when I go to Scheduler, okay, I can click plus, create new event, and I can create office hours here that are also available for my students. Okay, so I can also use my calendaring tool. Okay, when I create a scheduler, I can create an appointment group. So this might be where I might create my office hours, and that way it's on the student's calendar. It's going to appear on their dashboard. It's going to appear on their to-do list. So there's lots of different ways that we can communicate to our students when we're available to meet with them in a synchronous environment. Okay, let me see. I have a couple other questions here. Trey had the question, doesn't Google Docs allow for group PowerPoints too? They do have a way that you can create Google Slides. That's also available. By default, it opens up to a Google document when you're using the collaboration tool. But yes, you can also select other Google formats as well. Marguerite, not to my knowledge is there a way to know who is available in Hangouts without an invitation. I know that Stephanie Hopper and Jennifer Stouffer have also used Google Hangouts a lot. So if they have figured out a way to see who's online and available through Hangouts, please let me know if I'm misspeaking in that particular topic. Yeah, so Lynn has an application. She's thinking about using Google Collaborations or Hangouts as help with a group project and thinking that others might want to join in like a come and go group meeting. And that's exactly how this could be used, absolutely. It's a great idea, Lynn. Okay, So Imelda's getting the, when I try to create a document within my shell, I get this message. Before you can collaborate on documents, you need to authorize Canvas to access your Google Drive account. This directs me to a sign-in web page where I have to input my Google account. That's correct. You have to set that up and allow for that communication the first time. And you're just going to use your IV Tech email and password. It's the same credentials that you use when you access IvyLearn or myiv.ivtech.edu. Jan has a question. When you set up a discussion or announcement, does it go to the whole class or can it be limited to certain people? The conversations I need students to have is only between the pair, not for the whole class. So in that particular case, you wouldn't use the announcement tool because announcements is more like a class, an entire class communication tool. But you can, when you set up a discussion board, you can set up that to very, very specific people. So when I go into my demo class, for example, and I can either create my discussion board within my module, or I can actually create it here as well using the tool located on the left side of the page. But I'm going to keep everything in my module. I just like that. I want to control my sequential learning for my student, so I tried to build all the content they need in one location. So I'm going to go ahead and stick in Module 1 here, and I'm going to create a discussion board. And to do that, I click plus sign, and I'm going to create my discussion. Okay, and I'm going to create a new discussion. You'll see that I've already created multiple discussions in this particular course, but for our demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. I click Add Item. Okay, you'll now see that's been added on my in my module. It's not been published yet, so I want to make sure it's available. I'm going to click Publish, but I also haven't actually set up the discussion board question yet. So I go into the actual item. Okay, and I'm going to create my question by clicking the Edit button. Okay. I can also create, this is a group conversation, so I have to give the group a name. And I can create the groups manually, so I can actually set up discussion boards specific for my pairs, like you would, Jan, in your definition. When I create those in pairs, only those students would see that group discussion board. And that's how you would do that. You just need to set up a group and that discussion board conversation. The other thing too, Jan, and I don't know if this would actually work for you in the scenario that you're talking about, but don't forget we also have this global tool called Conversations, which is over here in our inbox area. And when we click inbox, we can create messages back and forth to each other, and it's documented. Okay, so this is kind of like what would used to be called messages in Blackboard. Okay, and then we also have that chat feature, which is also located within the IvyLearn course. And Jan, you're welcome to contact me, and we can kind of strategize and talk about some different ideas for your particular assignment. I'll be glad to try to figure out the best practice for you. Okay, so Marguerite has a question. Hangouts is for prearranged meetings and not for help when needed, as in BBIM. No. It can be used in both ways. So you can set up Hangouts, like I'm going to set up my office hours, and I'm going to be available very specifically online at a specific time. The same thing with BBIM. It's a synchronous tool, so you have to be online at the same time. So you can set up an individual meeting with the person you want to speak to, or you can just be online and ready to chat with anyone who needs assistance. Okay, that can work in both ways. Okay, great. Oh, we just got some, sorry for that little delay. We did find out from someone who is a Google Hangouts user that once you're in here and you're using this particular tool, after you've added them to their contacts, there's a little green dot that shows that they're online. So I see that now. So you'll see that Robbie is online because he has this little green dot. So once you've added someone to your contact list and they're online with you, you can see that they're online and they're available to chat. So very similar to Blackboard Instant Messaging, when you had the green light when people were available to discuss and have conversations with you, it looks like that now appears on your contact list as well. So when I click on contacts as well, when this is the little area up here, you'll see that these particular contacts are currently online and available to talk. Discussion boards are not handled within Collaborate. That's actually a tool within the IvyLearn platform. Okay, so when we go into IvyLearn, you have in your class, okay, you have a whole discussion board area. It's called Discussions, and we're also building those directly into our modules. So when I click on my module, for example, here is a discussion board. And once we're in those modules, you can just go from one slide to the other. And this module, this discussion board is built right into that learning sequence. Okay. I know that we have several questions that are still outstanding, and I know our time has also kind of come to an end. So I'll be glad to stay online with you for just a few more minutes to answer any questions that are still remaining. However, if you do have a pressing engagement and you need to exit the webinar, you of course are welcome to go to the top of your GoToWebinar control panel and click the X to exit out of the program. Okay, if you'd like to stay online with me for just a few more minutes, I'll try to answer any remaining questions that we have in the question box. So Marguerite has the question, can you remove students from the contact after the course has finished? Once your contacts are in Google Hangouts, I'm sure that you could probably delete them from your contacts, but they're in the IV Tech system as a student, so you could probably still find them after the class is over. It doesn't mean that you need to continue to communicate with them. Anna has points out that the option to have an application open and quickly see that the students are there or they have a question is really nice instead of having to always, state your own availability. So you're right. A lot of times with Blackboard Instant Messaging, I'll just have that open. If someone has a message for me, it pops up and I can answer those questions. And that's the same thing with Google Hangouts. You can have it open on your computer at any time. So as students or your peers or associates need to talk with you, it's available to them at any time. That's a great point, Anna. Thank you. Is there a way to list students by course? Not in Hangouts, no. But you do have a roster in every single one of your courses. So when I go ahead and click on, I'm inside a course right now, and I click on People. Okay. They're all listed here. This is your roster. Okay. When you're going into your collaboration tool, when you're setting up a Google document, again, this is the same students that are associated with that particular class, not everyone in your contact book. And Google Hangouts, it is more of a global tool. Anyone that you've ever communicated with at Ivy Tech can be found in your contacts. So if you have contacts in your, like your Microsoft Outlook, okay, those are probably going to be the same contacts that you also have available through Google Hangouts. Okay, so it's very much tied to the Ivy Tech system. just going to give you another 2 minutes to ask any other outstanding questions. I really do appreciate your time today. I hope you found this valuable. It is a tool that we're just going to have to continue to learn and explore and play with. And like I said, there's always more than one way to communicate or to meet your learning objectives. So if you need assistance with trying to figure out which tool is best for you, you're welcome to contact me or someone in the Center for Instructional Technology to kind of brainstorm on what idea or what tool fits best for your learning needs.